Hello everyone, welcome back to Believers CS Academy, Bengaluru. This is daily news analysis session. In this session, we will be discussing important articles and editorials from the UPSC prelims, mains and interview perspective. So, the first article for the day, that is 7th July 2025, is an article from the Hindu front page which talks about BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. We will see what are the key takeaways and the UPSC relevance. Context is that BRICS summit was recently held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the summit, emphasizing the need for reform of global governance and greater participation of the global south in key international decision-making institutions such as UN, IMF, World Bank, etc. The summit saw the adoption of a leaders' declaration reflecting concerns on terrorism, global governance, and multilateralism. We will see what the key themes of leaders' declaration are. First one is reform of global governance institutions. Prime Minister Modi highlighted that two-thirds of humanity remains underrepresented in institutions formed in the 20th century, such as IMF, World Bank, United Nations, etc. He called for more equitable representation of developing countries to improve both the credibility and effectiveness of these global bodies, so that the voice of underrepresented, that is the global south, is also represented. The BRICS declaration supported India and Brazil's aspirations for greater role at the United Nations, including reforming the United Nations Security Council. India and Brazil, along with Japan and Germany, form the G4 countries who have demanded to be entered into United Nations Security Council from the long time. Okay, so they reaffirmed their support to these two countries. Then support for the global south. Modi criticized double standards historically imposed on the global south. The summit emphasized strengthening the voice of the global south, echoing India's leadership in championing the developing nations' rights. And then he also talked about BRICS expansion. Recently, new members were added to the BRICS. Prime Minister Modi welcomed Indonesia as the BRICS member, reflecting the group's adaptability, and also extended the partnerships to Belarus, Bolivia, Kazakhstan, Cuba, Nigeria, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Uganda, and Uzbekistan to enhance south to south cooperation. And there is also issue of counter-terrorism, strong condemnation of cross-border terrorism and the Pahalgam terror attack by the Pakistani militants, renewed support for early adoption of the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, that is CCIAT, under the BRICS. And then geopolitical concerns. They also condemned Israel-US strikes on Iran, calling them violations of international law and the United Nations Charter, expressed concern over attacks on Iran's nuclear infrastructure, reflecting BRICS' position on the non-interference and peaceful resolution of disputes. Okay, these are the highlights of BRICS summit. And then the second article is from the news section of the Hindu. It talks about concerns over amendments to the plant treaty. What is India's position and implications? Why is it in news? It is in news because India is participating in a meeting of ad hoc open-ended working group under the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, or ITP GRFA, which is commonly and colloquially called as Plant Treaty. And the ad hoc committee or meeting was held in Peru from July 7 to 11 of 2025. So, several Indian stakeholders, including the farmers groups, scientists, and state governments, have raised strong objections to the proposed amendments to the Annexure 1 of the treaty, setting risks to India's seed sovereignty and farmers' rights. Okay, so we will see what this Annexure 1 is and what are the concerns about. Before that, what is this plant treaty? Plant Treaty's full name is International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resource for Food and Agriculture. It was adopted in 2001 by Food and Agriculture Organization, came into force in 2004, and India ratified in 2002. Objective is promoting conservation, sustainable use, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from the plant genetic resources. Key feature is it is a multilateral system of access and benefit sharing from 64 major food crops listed in the Annexure 1. Okay, this is plant treaty, but now under the new ad hoc working committee, they are proposing certain amendments. So under the amendment, what is at stake? So first is it is going to propose changes to the Annexure 1, and the issue is that the proposed expansion of the list of crops under multilateral system, it would make India legally bound to share its plant genetic resources under standard material transfer agreements determined by the treaty's governing body and not India's own terms. So obviously it is foregoing India's seed sovereignty. Seed sovereignty is being foregone if the proposals are accepted, because it becomes legally bound for India to share its plant genetic resources under the new standard transfer agreements. Previously, it was the India's discretion on whether to disclose its plant genetic resource or not, but now it becomes legally binding. So now, what are the concerns of different farmers and states? First is it is a threat to seed sovereignty. India would lose control over deciding who gets access to its rich plant germplasm. Then, and no adequate benefit sharing mechanisms are in practice. Okay, fine. We will share our plant genetic resource or plant germplasm. But is there any guarantee that we are going to get benefits out of sharing these resources? So there is no such guarantee here. That is why they are apprehensive towards this amendments. Farmers and activists say that amendment violates the preamble and Article 10 and 11 of the treaty, which talks about equity and sovereign rights. And then allegation of non-consultation with stakeholders, especially farmers and states like Kerala. So why is Kerala separately or opposing this one? That is, Kerala's agriculture minister wrote to the union minister demanding that farmers and state governments should be consulted before agreeing to any amendment. Okay, then India's official stand. Under the stand, ICAR or Indian Council for Agriculture Research assures that Indian interest will be safeguarded, and Sunil Achak, who is the principal of ICAR, is representing India in the Peru meeting. Okay, they have said that we consider your apprehensions, consider your concerns over the amendments, and they assured that our safeguards or the Indian safeguards will be maintained. Okay, interests are safeguarded. Then third one is an editorial from the Hindu, which talks about China-Pakistan collusion, a new security paradigm for India. Okay, it talks about Operation Sindoor and the emerging collusion. It says, during Operation Sindoor, Lieutenant General Raul Har Singh confirmed active Chinese support to Pakistan. China's role evolved from being a background player in 1965-71 Kargil to tactical enabler, offering intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, that is ISR, military hardware like J-10C and PL-15 missiles, and battlefield integration and real-time support. Okay, so no longer is China a background player, but he is also a collusive player with respect to Pakistan and India war, which is very significant considering the issue of India, Pakistan and China nexus. Then, what is the diplomatic and information warfare? China mirrored Pakistan's narrative on the Pahalgam terror attack, avoided condemnation and diluted United Nations Security Council statements. Okay, so this is the new diplomatic and information warfare. If the cases were reversed, that if there was an allegations that India was the one to attack on Pakistan, then China would have shared it all over its social media, and there were concerns that China was even deleting the TikTok post which were in support of India. Then, Indian political level contact with China was avoided during the crisis, signaling distrust. Chinese media amplified Pakistan's propaganda, shaping a biased global perception and pushing a nuclear escalation narrative. Okay, so Chinese social media like TikTok, which has a huge hold in the global media, was used as a tool to push Pakistani's propaganda. Then there was also military integration and tactical convergence. That is, Pakistan used Chinese origin systems in real-time combat for the first time. JC-10 with PL-15, HQ-9 air defense, and Baidu satellite navigation were also used here. Okay, Baidu satellite navigation is in a single word Chinese GPS. Okay, geopositioning system of China, and also fusion of Swedish area AEW and C Chinese platforms along with Chinese platforms reflected advanced interoperability from the joint exercises like Shaheen series, and it also marked shift from two front war to one front reinforced war, that is Pakistan embedded with Chinese capabilities, which sounds alarming bells for India. Then, what are the strategic implications of all these moves? One is deterrence challenges. China's indirect involvement complicates India's strategic calculations, whether it should directly involve China or whether it should act in silos. Then, grey zone tactics allows China to test the limits of India's combat without open conflict. Okay, so China is using Pakistan as its battleground here. Then, shift in the military postures. India now operates in live dual front scenario post the October 2024 disengagement in Ladakh and collapse of 2021 ceasefire along the LOC and IB with Pakistan. So it is no longer fighting one front war with Pakistan, but now it is a dual front from China as well. And Pakistan is being used as a proxy platform. China uses Pakistan to test its defense technology in real combat. Offers Pakistan cutting edge systems like J-35 stealth fighter, KJ-500 AWNC, and HQ-19 BMD. All these things are Chinese made, and China is offering them to Pakistan so that they can test their weaponry. So what should be the India's response? Okay, what should India be responding with? First is military modernization. India must boost network centric warfare capabilities, drone warfare, ISR assets, and non legacy platforms, and real time battlefield intelligence, similar to Chinese Baidu intelligence, etc. etc. And reassess decline in defense spending, that is 13% of central expenditure in 2025-26, down from the 17% in 2014-2015. Then focus on strategic signaling, that is decouple the talks and terror logic for Pakistan and China coalition policy. Then consider non-kinetic, non-public tools like revisiting Indus Water Treaty, which India is doing to an effect. And finally, maintaining strategic unpredictability, that is avoid predictable punitive strikes which may fit into China-Pakistan trap, develop multi-domain retaliation strategies not limited to military operations. Okay, so attacks can not only be military operations, there can be cyber, etc. etc. So India should go for multi-domain as retaliation strategies from all the fronts, from military, from media, propaganda, soft power, etc. etc. Okay, so conclusion is that China-Pakistan collision is no longer theoretical but as a proven operation Sindhu. Okay, then fourth one is from the test and context, which is a very important and interesting topic I found today. That is Google's AI overuse under antitrust scrutiny in European Union. Okay, so what is Google overview? You go to Google search engine, you search a particular question or anything you want to know. Previously, before this Google overview, what used to happen was there were certain links. Okay, certain links were provided to a website. You used to click the website and then understand what the topic is, what does it mean, and every information was given in the particular website. Now what is happening here is Now what is happening here is, as soon as you search a topic, before the links of the particular website is provided, before that, that is overview. Overview. Google provides the information related to that. Google also provides solution to that, etc., etc. So now this has become an issue. What issues and what the EU is alleging and what is the Google's response, we'll see in today's article. AI overview are AI generated summaries shown at the top of Google search results above the traditional blue links. They provide quick synthesized answers to user queries by drawing content from various websites. Based on retrieval augmented generation, the system fetches and processes data from Google's web index, not just from the pre-trained models. The feature evolved from search generative experiences, launched in May 2023 and now deployed over 100 countries. Okay, it is similar to ChatGPT, where the artificial intelligence generates the answer, but for that you have to go into the ChatGPT website, but here you don't have to go into the ChatGPT website. Google is using its significant position as a search engine. As soon as you search a particular topic, instead of providing the traditional blue links, it is providing the summary of the particular topic on top itself. So now what is happening then? Why are the publishers protesting? The Independent Publishers Alliance, Movement for an Open Web, and others have filed a formal antitrust complaint against Google. And what are the legal and regulatory intervention here? That the complaint has been submitted to European Commission, UK's Competition and Markets Authority, and publishers demand an interim measures are to pause the use of AI overviews during the investigation, and CMA is currently assessing whether Google meets the criteria for a strategic market status, which could empower the regulator to impose stricter rules, including publisher content control. Now, what are the demands or what are the issues that the publishers have shown? Key issues at stake. The concern is about loss of traffic and revenue. Okay, according to publishers' perspective, artificial intelligence answers disincentivize clicks to original sites. AI summaries reduces user clicks to publisher websites, slashing their advertising revenue and subscriptions. Previously, what used to happen? If you search something about anything, for example, you search about happiness index. Okay, happiness index. Once you search happiness index, it used to provide certain green links, or the any website which provides a happiness index, you used to open the link, you used to open that website, and under the website there will be certain ads, etc., etc. That is how they used to get the revenue. Now, if the answers are provided on the top itself, if the answers are provided in the summary itself, there is no need for you to go into the website and click the website, which reduces the revenue and traffic. What about Google's position? Google's position is that more searches create more discovery opportunities. Okay, they say that, like, if we are able to provide certain overviews on top itself, then it will allow more people to search. Once the people start searching for more, it will allow more opportunities. Then content usage. The content is used without consent or payment to the particular website. He says that though we are not paying, the content is credited with the links. So we are putting the links so that we are not claiming it as our own information. And ads in AI overviews. That is unfair monetization of the publisher content. Since May 2024, Google has been placing ads within the AI overviews, further monetizing third-party content. Okay, see the hegemony of Google here. Google is using someone else's content. Before, it used to open the particular website and get the revenue for that website. Now here, Google is using like overview. Google is using their own data, their information, etc., etc. On top of that, using this third-party content to generate ads. So that is the level of mistrust Google is created. Google's position is that it didn't directly address this issue. Opt-out dilemma, that is, can't exclude from AI summaries without search exclusion. So opt-out would harm user experience according to Google. And then regulatory need, that it demands a strict oversight, and Google opposes halting feature without broad consultation. So conclusion is, the controversy around Google AI overviews illustrate the growing tension between the tech platforms and content creators in the AI era. with while Google presents its innovation as a user-centric and traffic boosting, while the publishers argue it is eroding the economic foundation of independent journalism. The ongoing scrutiny of by the EU and UK regulators may shape future norms on AI-generated content, digital competition, and corporate ethics. So these are the important mains related topics. Now let us see certain prelims pointers. In the first page of the Hindu, there was an image which discussed about Ashadi Ekadashi or Ashadi Ekadashi and Pandarpur Wari Yatra. So it is important from GS1 art and culture, etc. etc. So why it is in news? It is in news because on Ashadi Ekadashi, which falls during the Shukla Paksha of Ashada month, which is usually June and July, thousands of workeries gathered at the Pandarpur, Maharashtra, completing the annual Pandarpur Wari, a centuries-old pilgrimage on the foot or Padayatra to the temple of Pandarpur, located at the banks of Chandrabhaga river. Okay, so what is this Ekadashi? Ashadi Ekadashi. It is one of the most sacred Ekadashis in the Hindu calendar. It marks a devotion to Lord Vishnu in the form of Purandara. Also, it marks devotion to Lord Vittal, who is a form of Krishna Vishnu. It symbolizes spiritual awakening, self-restraint, and devotion, that is Bhakti. Then it is celebrated prominently in Maharashtra, but also in parts of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Goa as well. So, what is Pandarpur Wari Yatra? It is a 700-year-old tradition, one of the largest and oldest public gatherings in the world. Devotees, which are called as workeries, meaning those who follow the warrior pilgrimage. Okay, if you have a basic idea about Bhakti movement in Maharashtra, there are two types of Bhakti saints. One is Dharkari, another one is workeries. Okay, workeries believe that the Bhakti is complete once you take a pilgrimage to Pandarpur, whereas Dharkari believe that God is present everywhere, there is no need to take a pilgrimage. This is how the difference was between Dharkaris and workeries. So these workeries are the ones who take pilgrimage to Pandarpur. The pilgrimage begins from Dehu, which is Saint Tukaram's town, and Alandi, which is Sant Dhaneshwar's town. Palki possessions of Sant Tukaram and Sant Dhaneshwar are central to the Yatra. These are the famous Bhakti saints of Maharashtra. Ends at Vittala Ram Rukmini temple, Pandarpur, on the Ashadi Ekadashi. So what is its significance? It has cultural, environmental, religious significance. So in cultural significance, it is a blend of devotion, egalitarianism, and simplicity. Saints like Sant Tukaram, Sant Dhaneshwar, Namadev, Eknath shaped the Bhakti movement in Maharashtra through this transition. It promotes collective spiritual expression with the singing of abhangas or devotion poetry and kirtanas. In social aspects, it is a symbol of social harmony and unity because workery tradition rejects caste discrimination and emphasizes personal devotion over rituals. It promotes voluntary community service and simplicity in living. Okay, so all the bhakts of Vittal go to the Pandarpur together. They do not care about their caste, etc., etc. So this emphasizes unity. And with respect to environmental health, eco-friendly practices like minimal plastic use, walking instead of motor transport are followed here. Then promotes physical endurance and mental resilience through the Padayatra. Okay, so this is how you have to read a particular religious possession or religious traditions in India. What is their significance and how do they contribute to the economy and society, etc., etc. And final article for the day is, again, it is an article from the Hindu, the science edition. It talks about Helgoland, which is the birthplace of quantum mechanics. This is the Helgoland, which is a small island off the coast of Germany, but it is very significant. Why? We will understand. What is Helgoland? It is a small island of just 1 square kilometer in the North Sea, 50 kilometers off the Germany's coast. It is known for its red sandstone cliffs and fresh air. Historically, a naval fortress, later a holiday retreat. now renowned as the site where quantum mechanics was born. Why? Because of the scientific significance and the Heisenberg breakthrough. Set in the scene, that is, Werner Heisenberg, a 23-year-old physicist suffering from hay fever, escaped to Helgoland for relief and solitude. There, he experienced the Eureka moment that revolutionized physics. Eureka is what happened to Archimedes. So, Eureka is I got it moment. Then, key insight is the abandoned the classical notion of electrons orbiting the nucleus, focused instead on the observable quantities, that is, frequencies and intensities of the light absorbed or emitted by the atoms. He focused on this aspect, and he used mathematics of matrices, that is the grids of numbers model to atomic behavior. In this, he founded that position x momentum is not equal to momentum x position, which defied the classical physics. Okay, just the twisting of the name of position and the momentum is not going to be same as the momentum x position. Then, what was the impact of this discovery? This became foundation for matrix mechanics, the first complete formulation of quantum mechanics, soon expanded by Max Born, Pascal Jordan, and Erwin Schrödinger, led to the key quantum concepts like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, quantum statistics, wave mechanisms, etc., wave mechanics, etc. It also enabled modern technologies like lasers, semiconductors, MRI, quantum computing, etc., etc. So, a small discovery by Heisenberg in this island became very important in the international level physics. So that is why this island becomes very important. Just know that island is present off the coast of Germany in North Sea. Okay, so this ends today's discussion. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.